I'm excited to bring today's video to you. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Ayurvedic medicine, specifically Ayurvedic nutrition. If you're not familiar with what Ayurveda is, it is a very old holistic healing system that was developed and created in India more than 5,000 years ago. So this has been around forever. And as a holistic practitioner, and as many of my holistic practitioner colleagues, we lean on Ayurvedic tradition and Ayurvedic practices in order to really help our patients achieve optimal health and wellness. The roots and principles of Ayurvedic medicine and Ayurvedic nutrition are founded upon the belief that our mind, our body, and our spirit need to be aligned and in balance in order to achieve health. And if any one of those three pillars are disrupted in any sort of way, that is what causes illness and ailment. Ayurveda originates from two Sanskrit words. The first is Ayur, meaning life, and Veda, meaning knowledge. So, this healing system is a very wise and intuitive system that really leans into our body's ability to heal itself when it is in balance and finding that very delicate balance between our internal body as well as how we are interacting with the world around us and the environment around us. You may have at one point in your life heard this phrase, "You are what you eat." Which is only partially true. And in Ayurvedic medicine, especially in the nutrition component of Ayurveda, we believe that you are what you digest, you are what you absorb. So, this is a really important component of Ayurvedic medicine because no two person is going to have the same ability to digest and absorb all the same types of foods, which is something that I talk about all the time, that everybody is unique and you have to treat not only the unique individual, but everything about that person's life and their mental state and their physical state and their emotional state and spiritual state as well. And the other component to this is that we actually not only digest and absorb the foods and the liquids that we ingest on a day-to-day basis, but we are also absorbing emotions. We're absorbing chemicals and toxins in the air that we're breathing and the things that we're touching. So we have to take all of this into account when we are looking at somebody with Ayurvedic practice. According to Ayurveda, there are 5 primary elements within the universe, which can also be found inside of each of us, and they include earth, fire, water, air, and space. And within those 5 primary elements, there are 3 life force energies called doshas that combine at least 2 of those primary elements. And those doshas are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And these doshas can actually account for psychological, physiological, emotional, and energetic constitutions within each and every one of us. And by focusing on balancing your primary dosha, that is where the real key to balance and health come with Ayurvedic medicine. Let's dive into the first dosha, which is Vata, V-A-T-A, which combines the elements of air and space. So each of the doshas actually do have physiological characteristics. So with regards to Vata, the bodily characteristics include cell division, breathing, blood flow, heart health, even the elimination portion of our digestion. And if you're looking at somebody and you're trying to figure out just by looking at their body if they might be more Vata dominant, they tend to have a slimmer build, a smaller build, although there are some Vata people that are definitely on the heavier side. They tend to be very quick and flighty and creative. They tend to have smaller faces, smaller eyes, and they have kind of erratic appetites. When a Vata dominant person is imbalanced, they tend to be more anxious and fatigued or spacey or flighty, forgetful. They might also have digestive problems, probably more on the constipation side because that elimination portion of digestion struggles. They might have poor circulation, might be a little bit colder. So for nutrition, nutritionally, what we stick to for Vata types to keep them in balance because they are more air in space, they are generally supposed to stick to very regimented meal times and to focus more on warm and hot foods and cooked vegetables, things that are earthy and will ground them back into the earth. Also, because they're missing that fire element, including things like spicy foods and spices in general. All spices are helpful for those who are Vata dominant. The second dosha is Pitta, Pitta, which combines the elements of fire and water, which also happens to be my predominant dosha. The physiological characteristics, the bodily functions of Pitta include all things digestion, so the actual breakdown of food, as well as our overall metabolism. The physiological characteristics can also control some hormones as well and overall appetite. If you're looking at somebody with a Pitta dominant build, they will probably be medium athletic build with moderate muscle mass. Characteristic wise, personality type wise, they tend to be fairly driven and decisive and smart, just generally intelligent people. But when imbalanced, they tend to get very agitated, sometimes angry, or a little bit irritated, which I can definitely attest to. Because Pitta is so geared in the fire side of the elements, Pitta dominant people do tend to get hot easily and sweat a lot. So staying hydrated is one of a really important point about treating people who are Pitta dominant. And also as a result of that, that fire and that heat, we want to focus on foods that cool pittas down. So raw and leafy vegetables and cooler foods. So avoiding things like hot soups and stews, anything that's going to create heat in the body we're trying to avoid. So anything that generally spices in general, peppers and garlic and hot, sauces and things like that should be avoided, and opt for some milder flavors like ginger and fennel and coriander instead. But also really interesting thing about pittas, because it does focus a lot on digestion. We do see more development of Crohn's disease with people who are Pitta dominant, those types of digestive issues, and generally more infections in Pitta dominant people. So trying to balance them out with cooling foods, with lots of water to kind of fire down that, or to cool down that fire, is really important for Pittas. Our last dosha is called Kapha, Kapha, which combines the elements of earth and water. So this is our very stable, grounded dosha. And it makes sense because Kaphas are definitely more stable, more secure. So they're very centered in our root chakra. But in terms of physiological bodily function, Kaphas do regulate immunity, which also happens to be related to our root chakra. It is also responsible for muscle growth and body strength and general stability, so our bone structure, if you will. Kapha characteristics, somebody that is Kapha dominant will be very stable in temperament. They'll generally have very long-term memories, so they don't necessarily learn quick on their feet, but once they do learn, they learn forever. They're generally pretty strong. They tend to have a bigger build, although I do know Kaphas that are very small too, so you can't always rely on that. And they tend to be team players. But when imbalanced, Kaphas tend to be really sluggish, especially if they oversleep. Kaphas tend to like to sleep, so oversleep can cause them to be very, almost too rooted in the ground. So we need to lighten Kaphas up and get some fire under their butt. Some of the health conditions that we see with imbalances in Kapha include depression, and also breathing related issues like asthma, and also for Kaphas that do tend to err on the side of larger build, we do see more obesity and diabetes in Kapha dominant people. Because we are trying to fire kattvas up and air them off a little bit to kind of counterbalance that earth dominance in kattva people, we want to focus on light and airy vegetables as well as those spices like we focus on with vata. Trying to focus on not overeating at meals, because kattvas getting any more heavy in personality and energy tends to slow them down even more. So focusing on light meals, spicier foods, well-seasoned foods, and also things like legumes and lentils that are really good for digestion and moving things along, are really great for kapha dominant people. There is a whole world of benefit that comes with understanding what your dosha is. And as a practitioner, it's really, really helpful to know and to utilize some of these techniques in Ayurvedic medicine to help really push a patient along in the right direction and to help them balance out. And especially with nutrition, there's a lot that goes into it. So if you're interested in learning about your dosha, you can either feel free to reach out to me, because I do utilize these techniques in my own practice when working with the whole person in nutrition. But also there's lots of places online that you can take a fun quiz. I like Sahara Rose's quiz that she has on her website, which you can see right here. And yeah, reach out to me. Ayurvedic medicine is super intuitive. It might not seem like it right now from this very basic and foundational description I've given you, but that's the benefit, is that you already know, you already have all of the tools inside of you. Your body already knows how to heal itself, and when you balance your mind, body, and spirit and your emotions, you are giving yourself the room and the space to really grow and be the best person that you possibly can, without focusing and without worrying as much on feeling badly or being ill or having these physical ailments that can be avoided. So I love Ayurvedic medicine. If you're interested in learning more, please reach out. And also, big shout out to Grace De Leon for all of her help in motivating this video and for her review of all of my information. So thank you guys so much. Reach out. Happy to hear from you soon.